Hi everyone. Today, while you're working with the substitute, we're going to be talking about thesis statements. Now, all the information in this PowerPoint today really should be a review of everything you've learned from middle school. But I do want to talk to you a lot about what the expectations are for your thesis statement. One of the most important things you need to know about your thesis statement is that it should be the last sentence of your introduction. Many of you are still making your thesis statement the first sentence of your introduction, but it should be that sort of last moment before I move into the body of your argument. Today I'm going to tell you how to construct a thesis statement. You should have in front of you some fill-in-the-blank notes from the substitute on thesis statements, which you're going to fill in as we go through the PowerPoint here. Now, I have in front of you several thesis statements, and I'm asking you, what is the problem with the statements in front of you? Okay, Chinky is a caricature of an Asian person. Jin wants to be a transformer. The Monkey King's story is an allegory. Jean Luen Yang uses the shoes and the transformer toy as symbols in this novel. The Monkey King's shoes are a symbol for fitting in, because he wears them in order to seem more powerful. American-born Chinese satirizes the American sitcom. These are all good, smart sentences, just like the sentences you read yesterday when we did the summarizing and analyzing activity. However, none of these sentences are a complete thesis statement, and I'm going to tell you why. A thesis statement is one sentence that sums up and makes the argument of your essay. Okay? Every essay needs to be argumentative. That's the whole point of an essay. You, as the smart reader of this book, know something really cool and really interesting that you're going to teach to me. That's what your thesis statement is. Here's the really cool, smart thing I'm going to teach to you, and here's why I am right. Your thesis statement should have a point of view. That's critical. You are arguing this essay. Okay? That doesn't mean that it's going to have the word I in it. You don't need to say your name in order to have a point of view, but it should have a sense that the argument is distinct. So, 3 things a thesis statement needs to have. It needs to have an argument. That's what I was just talking about. You need to be proving something to me. It needs to have 3 reasons why the argument is true. Now, this really isn't something you're going to do once you get past 11th grade. It's kind of a stepping stone, but it's a really good way to structure a thesis statement. And those 3 reasons are probably going to be built into what I call the motive of your thesis statement. Yesterday we talked a little bit about analysis, answering the question, so what? Well, that's what the motive does in your thesis statement. It tells me, so what? Okay? So, if I use the example I used yesterday, in geology class, if you scratch the rock on the scratch thing and it makes a streak, you have to write your lab report and say, because this thing happened, the rock is quartz, or whatever it is, okay? A thesis statement needs to have the same thing. It needs to say, these things are true, and here's why it matters. Here's the conclusion that I can come to as a result of knowing these things, okay? So that's sort of the critical thing here. One of the thesis statements I gave at the beginning of class, Chinky is a caricature in American-born Chinese. Well, that's true, but it's not a motivated statement. You need to tell me why it matters. Chinky is a caricature in American-born Chinese, which reveals the racist nature of the American sitcom. Aha! Now we're getting somewhere. Now you're making an argument. So, let's say you want a puppy. Let's say that's the argument that you are making to your parents. The thesis statement for that argument in which you ask your parents for a puppy isn't going to say, please give me a puppy. No one is ever going to give you a puppy if that is what you say. You need to tell them why. You need to tell them why you deserve a puppy. Okay? So you're going to give me some reasons. It's going to teach you responsibility. You're going to do all the work. You're going to pay all the vet bills, etc., etc. But you have to give me those reasons. You have to motivate me with the reasons. So, I deserve a puppy because blank, blank, and blank. A lot of thesis statements in the 9th grade take this shape. Okay, so you might have a thesis statement about the Monkey King's shoes, and you might say that the Monkey King's shoes symbolize fitting in order to reveal the nature of American society and the way that people like to fit in. So your thesis statement might be Jean Luen Yang uses the Monkey King's shoes in the scene in which the guard won't let him into the party. That's this first blank. In the scene in which he makes all the other monkeys wear shoes, that's the second blank. And this third blank might be the scene in which he takes the shoes off in order to reveal that people should not try to transform their identity in order to fit in. Right? That might be the structure of a thesis statement. Okay, that's the shape that it might take. And then these three blanks, those 3 pages or scenes from the book, will become your 3 body paragraphs. Okay? So, you sort of have this kind of construction of a thesis trickle-down effect. You're coming up with a topic. Well, you've already done that. I gave you a list of 5 options. You listened, you read through the paper, and by now you've picked a topic. So you know if you're talking about symbolism or satire or cyclical cruelty or whatever. Okay? You then have to decide your argument on that topic. Okay? If you're writing about cyclical cruelty, tell me what the argument is. Cyclical cruelty, American-born Chinese is about how cyclical cruelty can be in society. That could potentially be your argument. Then you need the motive for that argument. Okay? Why do you feel that way? Why does that matter? And then you have to put it all together. Tell me how your topic and your argument come together. Now, there's no one singular way. There's no fill-in-the-blank format for a thesis statement. You've just got to kind of structure it like an argument. But you want to make sure that you have the sort of fodder for your 3 body paragraphs. So that might be 3 moments in the book. That might be 3 different elements of satire. That might be 3 different characters, right? You might talk about Jin in one chapter or one paragraph, Danny in another paragraph, and the Monkey King in a third paragraph. There are a lot of different ways to structure your 3 body paragraphs. But you're going to want to be talking about the same basic ideas in all 3 without being redundant. And your thesis statement is kind of the beginning of that structure. Now, what you're going to get in just a minute, if we go back to the first statement, okay, what you're going to get in just a minute is going to push forward from this. So if we take this, Chinky is a caricature of an Asian person, okay, and we add motive to it, what would you write? That's really critical. What would you write? Maybe you would write, Chinky is a caricature of an Asian person, which reveals Yang's discomfort with American racism and American television and American schools. And those are your 3 body paragraphs. And so you're going to talk about how Chinky's caricature reveals racism in society and schools and television. Okay? That's your 3 body paragraphs. Those are the things that I'm wanting you to do. So you're going to do this on your own in just a second. You're going to write your own thesis, and you're going to get an organizer that looks like this. Okay? And it's going to ask you which theme from American-born Chinese you're going to write about. Now that's going to take you a little bit of time. You've written down some themes. You have some in your notes. You have some in your discussion questions. You have some all over the place. There's not a right answer here. There isn't one specific theme that you're going to write about. But I want you to pick a theme. Now, please remember, themes do not contain the word you. They're not cliches. And they're not one word. So make sure you're picking a theme that isn't problematic. Please don't write be yourself here. okay? Then the next question is very easy. Which topic, which prompt have you chosen? Okay, just copy the prompt from the assignment sheet. Then I'm asking you how you're gonna make your argument. Okay, what are gonna be your 3 body paragraphs? Are you gonna talk about Jin, Danny, and Chinky? Are you going to talk about 3 different pages or 3 different scenes from the book? Are you going to talk about 3 different symbols or elements, right? If you're talking about satire, maybe you're talking about verbal irony for a paragraph and caricature for a paragraph and parody for a paragraph, okay? How are you going to divide this essay up? How are you going to structure it? And then what are going to be those 3 body paragraphs? So if you're talking about from before the example of the shoes, your essay prompt is talking about symbolism. Your theme is about accept not transforming in order to fit in with society. Okay, so you're gonna make your argument. First body paragraph is going to be about the scene where the guard tells the Monkey King he's not allowed in, and then you're going to explain how you're going to make that argument. Second body paragraph is going to be about when the Monkey King goes back to Flower Fruit Mountain and tells all the monkeys they have to wear shoes, and then you're going to explain. Third body paragraph is going to be about when the Monkey King takes the shoes off and therefore sheds his need to fit in. And you're going to explain that. Okay, this might take more than the space in this box. You're welcome to use the back of the page, but that's what I'm looking for here. Then you're going to construct a thesis statement. Now, this is really important. It's going to be 1 sentence, okay? Just 1. That's all I need from you. It might be a little bit of a long sentence, but it shouldn't be a run-on sentence, okay? Now, it should include the title of the book, that's American Born Chinese, in italics. It should include the author's last name. And it should include the 3 main ideas that you talked about up here, very briefly. Okay, you don't need to explain them, just really quick. And your chosen theme. All right, that might seem really, really hard to put into 1 sentence, but I'm total faith in you guys that you can do this, okay? You have the whole rest of class today to do this organizer. So that should be about 30 minutes if I've estimated correctly how long this part of class is going to take. If you have questions, you're welcome to send me an email. I might be able to get back to you pretty quickly. If not, I'll get back to you at some point over the weekend. I want this part, this whole organizer, filled in and handed in to me on Monday. So you do need to have a thesis statement written for Monday. If there are any problems with your thesis statement, what I'll do is write some feedback to you and ask you to rewrite your thesis statement. But it's much better to get that feedback now than to have to wait until when you do poorly on an essay. So that's where we are now. My email address is at the bottom of the page that you're going to get from the sub. At this point, you should have your notes completely filled in and you should feel ready to write your thesis statement. What I'm going to ask you to do is take your notes and bring them to the sub and show her that they are finished. When you show her your finished notes, she will give you a copy of this organizer, and this is what you should work on for the remainder of the period. If you finish early, you're welcome to continue planning your essay. Start blocking out how you're going to structure your analysis, what quotes are you going to use, and things like that. Next week, we'll be talking about quotations and body paragraphs and how to structure those. Good luck, guys. I hope you're having a really terrific day. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday.